Hi everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Vera Stewart, and I'm here with Greg McCulley from Fireside Outdoor Kitchens on Broad Street. And you know, guys, he is an expert on outdoor grilling. Greg, what are we going to be doing tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to do some favorites. Boston butt is a big favorite for the holidays going into the summer. Pork chop and steaks are a big favorite, and both can be done on any type of a grill.
Gosh, well, I know, we got grills going. It's getting hot in this kitchen, but you don't want to miss it tonight. Not only is Greg going to show us how to get things prepared, what to do and how to do it right on the grill, but also some really great tips he's been sharing with me. Can't wait to share them with you. So get yourself comfortable, grab that husband of yours, and make sure that he watches with you tonight. We're going to do a lot of wonderful things. You're going to learn a lot. I hope you'll join us for the VeryVera Show. Welcome back, everybody, and I'm Vera Stewart, and I'm joined today for the VeryVera Show with Greg McCulley from Fireside Outdoor Kitchens. Greg, thanks again for joining me tonight, and we're at the home of Don Talley and Kathy Chance, and I believe you helped create this gorgeous setting that we're in right now.
I did. Thank you for having us on the show. What we do that's a little different at Fireside Outdoor Kitchens is we design outdoor kitchens for customers. We do not build them. We work directly with their builders. So in this case, it was a perfect scenario where they already had a builder that came to us for help in the design because they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and that's very important.
Right.
If you're in the mood to do an outdoor kitchen, the most important things to agree on the front end is exactly what type of cooking you want to do in it and what you want from it. For example, you need to know if you want refrigeration.
Right.
In this case, we're right outside the door of a refrigerator. There's no need to add refrigeration out here. They've got an ice machine inside. You don't need it out here. They've got running water there as well, so it's really not necessary to replicate it 20 feet away, 15 feet away. If this was out in the middle of an area 30, 40, 50 feet away and it was difficult to get to, we would have absolutely advised it. So you need to know what you want to do, you need to know what you want from it, how you're going to use it, and how much room you have to work with.
Well, and this setting is so perfect because I know they have a big family. We're right out from the pool. It's just a great setting, and I'm sure you run into this a lot. For me, because I'm in the food business, because we do this cooking show, people all the time call and say, what do you recommend? I'm getting ready to remodel my kitchen. What do you recommend? In terms of outdoor cooking and getting that sort of equipment together, do you have particular recommendations? Am I looking at more expensive equipment to do outside? What do you recommend there?
You are looking at a more expensive product in most cases, and the reason is pretty simple. When you're inside a kitchen indoors, you are looking at a completely climate-controlled environment. It is always about 70 degrees, give or take.
Right.
There's never a crosswind, there's no snow, there's no bird nests, and there's no insects, I hope. So when you're going outdoors, you've got to have appliances that are powerful enough to work just as well when it's 35 degrees as it is when it's 105 degrees.
Wow, that's a great point. Well, and I'm loving this little precious green egg that's sitting on the table. In terms of, you mentioned what sort of cooking are you going to be doing? I think for certain that makes a big difference. Asking the homeowner those sorts of questions, not to just strike out and buy something because they've heard about it.
Right.
What sort of questions do you ask them in terms?
I want to know if they are specifically prone or against charcoal. If they are not against charcoal, there are a couple of ceramic grills on the market that are an outstanding value. If they want something that they never have to worry about getting dirty, then a gas grill is for them. And despite all the rumors, you can do a great job on gas just as well as you can on charcoal.
Well, that's great. I know, like today, you're going to be showing us 3 different things. We're going to be doing a Boston butt, you're going to be cooking steak, and we're going to be doing a pork chop. If you don't have a lot of time, for me, I'm looking for things quick, but then on the weekends, my husband and I like to experiment with something new, on a grill. So hopefully when people come back from the break, we're going to go through all of those processes. Is there, for example, this small grill here, is that just perfect for 2 people, or can you do a lot of things with something small?
You probably want a little bit larger size. The big green egg, for example, is available in 5 sizes. This is the mini, the largest right here. They're available in a small, medium, and an extra large as well.
Well,
so very versatile.
We've got a lot to learn. I've learned a lot already, Greg. But come back to us after the break, because we're going to get some of this food going on these hot grills.
Thank you.
back, and you know what, Greg, this is my favorite part. We have to wear white gloves at VeryVera, and today I am going to wear black gloves.
Welcome to barbecue, Vera.
I need to wear this with my little black cocktail dress. I think it would be precious. Okay, so we have got
a Boston butt, and I'd say this is one of the things that people ask us the most about when it comes to learning how to use grills they already have or are interested in using for different things. First thing they want to know is, how do you buy a Boston butt and where? And the answer is, you can buy a Boston butt virtually anywhere, but it's important that you know what you're looking for. Fresh Market is a very good source for a Boston butt in the CSRA. The thing that you really want is, you don't want this to be too clean or too pretty. You really want it to have that fat cap on it.
See, I would think that.
Yeah, this is an area of cooking where lean is not your friend. Fat is your friend when it comes to barbecue. So it's not real secretive as to the prep process. It's going to involve a lot more seasoning than you might otherwise be comfortable with. And the reason is, so much of it is going to cook off.
Right, because that fat's going to start disintegrating, right?
It will. The fat will render as you cook through. And one of the things you do want to do is, you want to get the seasoning down deep into any of the cracks or crevices between the layers of meat, like that one.
Now, what's the seasoning you're using?
This is Cimarron Docks. It's one that's very popular on the KCBS barbecue circuit.
Woo.
It's a really good one.
Yeah, that is. That smells great.
Specifically made for competition barbecue cooks. Our store is a little unique in that we're very involved in the competition side as well. And we find
I love competition, Greg.
It's fun.
We play to win on the VeryVera
Yeah, you're a little
show.
competitive. I see you liking that. But so this is one of the many devices that we do carry that's used currently on the circuit. The other thing that you're going to want to make sure of with a Boston butt is that it does have the bone in. The bone in helps hold the temperature as well as the moisture in the center of the cut. And you'll find that's the bone right there.
Right.
One thing people also are kind of interested in is which part of the hog that a Boston butt comes from. And it's not where the name would imply. It's actually a pork shoulder. So the Boston butt got its name because many years ago, most meat that was packaged and sold throughout the country were all exported from the same place. It was Boston. And a butt was a wooden cask that was used frequently to package the product before they shipped it throughout the country.
Interesting.
So a Boston butt is not a ham. It is a shoulder. So that would be perfectly ready to cook, and when you do cook it, you're going to want to cook it with that fat cap on the top.
On the top.
Don't trim it. Don't cut it off. That's what's known as deliciousness.
Very delicious. I'm also very interested in this. This is a disposable cutting board.
It is. It is one of my favorite tools in that I can very quickly use that product and then transfer over to something completely clean, so that when I handle food that has been cooked, I'm not worried about any kind of cross-contamination. So I've been cooking a Boston butt for my standard time, which is about 12 hours at 240 degrees.
Okay.
On a big green egg, for instance, like this is a ceramic smoker. It's holding the heat and the moisture in incredibly well. So you really don't need to use moisture pans or anything to hold moisture. You just want to add things to add flavor.
I see, okay.
Now in this case, we're using a couple of different tools, because the key to doing a good barbecue is not opening the lid. The old saying is, when you're looking, you're not cooking. So don't look. The key to not looking is knowing what's going on in there. There's several devices.
You're so high tech over here, too.
Yeah, they can be. This particular device is controlling the temperature of the grill. I set it for 240. It's 240. Exactly. If I want to turn it up or down, I can do that.
Okay.
It's a product we sell a lot of. It's frequently used also on the competition circuit. Another one that's less expensive does not control the grill, but does monitor the grill. And it's actually something that works well with an iPad or an iPod or an iPhone. And it's
Great gift ideas, y'all.
It is. It's called the iGrill. And the iGrill is this device, and then it simply syncs up with your iPhone or your iApplication.
I've heard guys like toys. Is this true?
No, that's not true at all. We're very serious people. So this is a butt that's been cooked for about 12 hours. This is
12 hours.
It's about a 10-pound Boston butt. The only time the lid was open during that cook time was when we chose to wrap it. And the reason we wrapped it up is to keep all that moisture in there. We don't want to lose it, because that is also known as deliciousness.
Okay, well, we're going to keep this part a secret, because we want people to come back after the break. Oh my goodness, I want to make gravy out of that.
You can do it.
So come back with us after the break, and we're going to go through the next step on this beautiful Boston butt.
Thank you.
Gosh, it's awesome. Well, here you go. I'd say again, if the camera could smell, it would be unbelievable right now. And we're back with Greg from Fireside Outdoor Kitchens. And Greg, I mean, this spatula is called a buttula.
It is.
I mean, don't think about a rolling pin. If you really want to clobber somebody, you need to use one of these. But all of the things that you're using today, you have available at your store. Even the disposable cutting boards, which are great. And on them, we have a New York strip and a center cut pork chop.
That's exactly right. So these are probably the two most asked about cooks that we do, that we teach, and that we sell product for. So pork chop is one of my favorites, and one of my favorite seasonings for it is Patty's. It comes from a restaurant called Patty's Settlement. And basically, I would advise just dusting to a heavy, if you got children in your house, as I do, go real lean, just a dust on this. It definitely does better if you can have some time to where you can temper this while the seasoning is on it. And tempering is something that we spend a ton of our time in our cooking classes teaching people. Tempering is a process where you take a steak, for instance, and instead of taking it out of the refrigerator and simply cooking it, which is probably 37 degrees on the inside, we highly recommend make time to take it out of the refrigerator and, believe it or not, leave it on the counter. Uncovered, wash it off with water, and just let it sit. As it does that, what's going to happen is you're about to become much better at cooking a steak simply because you're starting off with an even playing field. The inside of that steak will be closer to the temperature of the outside of the steak, and you'll have a much better chance of it finishing at the same place.
Now, were these, had you patted those to get any moisture off before you got started?
I did not. If I had just rinsed that from the sink and it was literally dripping, I would take a paper towel and wipe down all sides. Absolutely. Okay. So Patty's is a little bit unusual, and it can work on a steak as well. It's a very high fat content, and the good thing about that is that you're not going to be eating that fat. It is actually designed to encourage a flare-up. And the reason for that is simply that adds a really nice charred flavor on a grill, gas or charcoal. So don't ever, if you buy Patty's, it's a wonderful sauce, but it's not something you're going to serve at your table. You want to cook it off.
Definitely.
It's designed to cook it off of the meat product. So the second step is going to be, once we get these off this grill, because they're going on right now, I'm going to put the pork chop on an infrared burner on a very, very nice gas grill. And I'm going to put the steak on a charcoal big green egg. They're going to stay there about 3 minutes on each side. So the second step is obviously when it comes to serving that cooked steak or pork chop. And I'm having trouble getting my glove off, so will you grab those steaks for me?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, and these are just wonderful.
So after they come off the grill, this is probably the most critical part. Most people take a steak, a pork chop, and just about everything else they cook off the grill when it's quote-unquote ready. It isn't ready when it comes off the grill. It still needs to rest.
Rest, that's the key word.
It really is, and resting is part of cooking. It's when the heat is traveling through that cut of meat. It does not stop the second it comes off that grill. It continues to travel through. The resting process allows it to finish its job. So you're not taking a steak off at 140. You're taking it off at something closer to 105 or 110, and it will cook through to 140. But if you take it off at 140, you'll be serving an overdone cut every single time.
And how long does it need to rest?
My MO is basically 15 minutes covered. So I'm going to put tin foil on a plate like this. The plate's not warm, it's room temp. I'm going to cover it up and I'm going to set it aside for 15 minutes. The beauty of this is, if you're like my household, we're never quite on the same page with our finish times, it can rest for a half an hour and it's fine. It's not going to get cold. So, the last
beautiful
piece,
grill marks. Greg,
thank you very
my goodness.
Much. Chicks dig them, I'm into that. So the beauty of a really well done steak is you're going to have some color in the center. So that you can see where that line was coming through, and that would be a really nice medium rare to medium steak. And a pork chop is going to do the exact same thing. You're going to have a little bit of translucent still in the center, and they're just perfectly done. And they wouldn't have been had we taken them straight off the grill and served them immediately. Now, usually about 15 minutes later, they're going to be better. So do yourself a favor and build resting into your cook times.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, we've got this, we've got some more that are cooking, and when we come back after the break, we're going to have a buffet, and you just need to be on the set with us because we're going to be enjoying some really great food. So come back and join us after the break.
Thank you.
Gosh. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're arguing over who's going to pay for dinner? Well, there are a couple of ways that you can get around that. If you really want to pay for the meal, maybe act like you're going to the restroom and find the waiter or waitress and say that you want the tab brought directly to you. That way you can surprise the person that you want to pay for their dinner. The other way to do it is if someone says, let me pay for dinner, and you say, oh no, let me pay, and they say, let me pay. After they've said it twice, the best thing to do is just say, thank you so much, and offer to pay the gratuity. And then finally, to avoid that altogether, discuss it before you order, maybe decide to split or ask for separate checks. Gosh, Greg, that is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome back, and we've got the Boston butt that you cooked for how long?
240 degrees for about 12 hours.
Gosh, it is gorgeous. And he is going to show you the best trick in a few minutes on how to do this. But as you can see, everything that we've prepared today is just beautifully prepared. The pork chops turned out just wonderfully. The New York strip, I mean, it is just beautiful on the center. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what this process is right now, and we'll get started on that.
In the prior segment, you saw the Boston butt come off, and it was in one big mass. And I mentioned earlier that it's important to buy them with the bone in, and the reason for that is that bone does hold moisture, and it also holds a lot of temperature right around it, so it will literally slide out. Once you do that, you don't just take the whole thing and start shredding it. You want to get the fat out. So all of these chunks, literally, you can see it'll fall apart in my hand, it's so tender. But you're pulling through it and you're looking for any chunks of fat that are left over. Most of them have melted away into what's affectionately known as deliciousness, which we did save some of. And you don't want to discard all of that. One of the tricks of the trade, so to speak, to having a really moist barbecue cook is, again, you don't ever want barbecue to be terribly lean. This is one of your breaks from your diet. So when you do pull those pieces, I would recommend that if you're going to pull it with the tool we use, you're going to want to put those large chunks in a metal cook pot of some type. I wouldn't use my grandmother's favorite one that was handed down to me, and you'll see why in just a moment. This is a pretty gigantic
stock pot for sure.
Yeah, this is actually a big old turkey deep fry pot. It works really well for what we're doing here. And what we're going to do next. Okay, thank you.
This is so cool.
So the next piece is, this is a tool that is made specifically for catering restaurants and for barbecue, and it is called the Ultimate Butt Puller. This device is going to pull the Boston butt in about 8 to 12 seconds tops. So you just need to hold it in place, and then it will pull evenly. So now you can do up to 2 butts at one time with that, and it works really, really consistently. There are a lot of ways to pull barbecue. This is not the only one by any means, but it's certainly the fastest. So we would get rid of that, and we would take that and transfer it to a really pretty pot.
Oh, that is beautiful, Greg, my gosh.
It's nice and even, took very little time, and we didn't burn the tips of our fingers off because generally speaking, this is gonna be about 195 degrees when you're pulling it. When barbecue comes out of a smoker, it's important for you to take it out when it is somewhere in the range of 195 to 198 degrees internal. We talked about monitoring the internal temp. That's one of the reasons it's so important. So I would take that and I would cover it and I would serve it, and people are going to love it.
Oh gosh, and now tell me about this. This is the wild berry cobbler.
This is kind of a surprise. One of the things we talk about a lot is that you can literally cook anything on big green eggs or grills that you may already own. This is a great example. This is a cobbler that was cooked on a big green egg this morning. We used, was it raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries. And this is something that you can just make real simply, very quickly, and it's a delicious dessert.
Oh gosh, well Greg, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today, and I'm sure if you're like me, you have learned quite a bit today. It makes me want to spend more time outside. It certainly has given me some great gift ideas for things that will be coming up. So just keep Fireside Outdoor Kitchens in mind. Right there on Broad Street, lots of great ideas. But remember, no matter what you do it in good taste. And I think good taste is what we're getting ready to enjoy right now. But join us back again next week for the VeryVera Show.
Thank you, Vera.